All right, some amazing projects done on the Metal Fab. All kinds of possibilities. I've done quite a few videos showcasing it. Well, now I actually have one in my garage, not just testing at demo rooms, and just so many possibilities. So obviously we got big signs. We can even do the pass-through. This is 5mm steel. We can make all kinds of, items, whether it's awards. You can batch out a ton of these custom, bottle openers, a lot of different projects here. And so for this video, do a little bit of an overview on what is the Metal Fab, some of the applications, but then really I want to jump into projects and showing you how I use the pass-through to do something larger, some other tricks and tips, but really some ideas how to make a ton of these really, really cool, custom awards, custom coach gifts. This obviously works for sports teams, it works for a lot of other applications as well. But we're gonna explore these projects here on the Metal Fab.
So starting off, just a quick overview. Yes, it is a laser welder. So all the welding applications, but also there's the CNC where you can do all the cutting. Amazing machine, so much to it. My other videos really went into a lot of the specs. This is going to be more of projects and possibilities. But yeah, the welder, phenomenal. And it's really user-friendly, beginner-friendly. Lots more on that in other beauty videos and future videos. But here, we're really going to showcase the CNC. And so you hook up the laser welder to your CNC, really easy, and it's so powerful and it can do amazing things. Now, you of course do have the option of running different gas options for different things, but really the air compressor, just the air compressor, you can do some pretty impressive stuff. There is the pass-through. We're going to showcase that in the video. The normal working area is 24 inches by 24 inches, but you can go longer with the pass-through. It's just crazy fast. It's fast, it's intuitive, there's all the cameras, there's all the really cool features of the software. We will dig into the software a little bit at the end of the video. But yeah, you can maximize all your material, all your spaces. All right, now for these projects. So this is actually a stainless steel from xTool. You can, purchase it through the site. There's other sources, but I thought it was a pretty good price for what you get for it. The full size sheets, it's already cut to size. And here I designed really simply in the software, in the xTool Studio, XCS software, just this bottle opener. So I just threw in some different images, made a bunch of Coach bottle openers. And so maximizing the space, there's a smart nesting feature to maximize your space in here. And we're cutting the stainless steel. Now with this one, I was just using the air compressor. So there's an air compressor and an air dryer that comes, from xTool. Works really, really well. Pretty powerful. That also works for a lot of other applications. They even have the special nozzle where you don't have to mess around with oxygen or other things. Now, if you want to cut the thick stuff, that's especially the thick carbon steel, you are going to probably want to run oxygen. So here, I did have a little bit of dross on the back end. Now, I could sand that off really quick, but I've shown this in a couple of my other videos using tumblers for wood, and I wanted to give it a try. So I just put those in. You could also do ornaments. I'll show that a little bit more. But you take those pieces and you can throw it into a rock tumbler, and then you put in some liquid, some dish soap, and then you can do like a media like stainless steel pins. Of course, you can mess around with the settings to get a lot cleaner. This is 2mm steel, and I was just using the compressor, no nitrogen, no oxygen, no air whatsoever. But yeah, I did want to show there's other things you could do here as well. But here we got the liquid, we got some water, threw some soap, and then just using this tumbling media. Bunch of little stainless steel pins. And this is a pretty big rock tumbler, but this worked great and actually gave a really, really cool effect, gave it a kind of a patina. But if you're thinking as far as sales, return of investment, all right, I want to cut out a bunch of these. And yeah, I could go straight to a benchtop sander or I could grind it out fine, but check out what it looks like. So the right is what it looked like right off the machine, stainless steel. But after about 2 to 3 days running in the tumbler, got this really cool, almost patinaed effect, and there's no dross. It cleaned everything up, all those nooks and crannies, really, really simple. So I repeated that process for doing the metals that you'll see in a bit, but this is what it looked like after they came out. Now, I don't work with metal as much. I'm learning a lot about metal. So, this is stainless steel polish for appliances. This is probably not the media you want to use. So, metal workers, jump in the comments, give some tips. What, media or direct to a video, what would you do? But I got these pretty clean. They were really nice. Threw some leather straps in. These were gifts for all the coaches on my son's football team. Made a custom bottle opener, thick and sturdy enough, could even do their name on it. You could save some time by just engraving. These ones took a little bit longer to cut out, but not ridiculously long at all. 30 minutes I think for all of them, maybe a little bit longer. I don't really quite remember the time, but got great results. Great results with these, and had a lot of fun giving those to the coaches. Now, this is something I have been wanting to try for a long time, is cutting out custom metals. Now, you can buy blanks from different places, but here I was able to create where the team logo, the Vikings, along with the circle shape, and can make a really, really cool design. Here's one of those stainless steel sheets from xTool, and I could cut out, maximize all the space, even throw in a couple little other, keychain, bottle opener, stuff like that. Look at that, maximize space. I could even like do washers, stainless steel washers in all those spots if you don't want to have any kind of waste. But stainless steel works great. You, of course, could do other materials if you wanted to do like a patinaed look. You could do steel or carbon steel. But I like the idea of the stainless because of engraving. You have potential for some color engraving with stainless steel. And so went with that approach. And so on these, I got them pretty clean. I thought they were really clean, but probably could have adjusted the settings for a little less, dross on the back. You could at this point, probably just take it to a bench grinder, or even just a bench sander and just sand off the back, get it nice and clean if you want to keep it clear like that. But this approach using this rock tumbler, I think worked great. You can see I used a vibratory tumbler in the back like people use for shell casings. I have another rock polisher or a jewelry polisher. So this is what it looks like with color engraving. So this is actually one of the stainless steel blanks that I cut. And you can see these different colors in the metal. You can get different effects with different speeds. So more power, less power, more speed. This is something I used the F2, a smaller galvo laser. Now, the Metal Fab does have the potential of engraving. I just normally, my practice is I cut big things on the bigger machines, and then I use smaller galvo lasers like this, like the F2 you just saw, or this one's called the F2 Ultra. This one has MOPA fiber power where you can actually get colored effects. So you see those colors? I was actually able to get those results in these metals where I even got like kind of a purple color and all that. You can do that with the F2 Ultra. The Metal Fab itself can engrave and you can actually get decent results with that. But if you want to really get extra level of colors, something like the F2 Ultra fiber laser is great. These are some anodized aluminum metals that I cut using the Metal Fab, and then I just engraved after the fact like a normal aluminum engraving. The F1 Ultra on the far right, the F2 Ultra UV is a new one. But if you're looking to add an extra little laser for fast engraving, this little F2 is a great complementary laser to go with the Metal Fab, just to be using the Metal Fab for cutting big stuff, and then you can cut and do engraving. The color engraving, that comes from the F2 Ultra, if you're looking for it. But amazing. I love these metals. I think this is such a great idea for sales and, pitching this to different coaches, tournaments, companies, and you can make custom next level ornaments, next level medals, or you could do trophies here, right? You can see even like there's different plaques and awards that you could do. I think that's a huge marketplace, option for that. Here's some big signage. So this is again the stainless steel. I'm cutting out pretty much the full size here. Great sign. So here we're gonna explore some sign options, even talking about the pass through and more metals, right? There's so much. The smalls, I think that's a really big scalable thing. But the biggest moneymaker, I think, are these signs. And so here I took a little grinder, just grinding off the back, but going for that effect where you get extra shiny. Now, stainless steel, that's going to resist the elements. It's not going to rust. So that's a cool outdoor sign. This is great for businesses. So like think about, these are premium price points for doing metal signs for businesses. So easy to do that, right? And so this is a good size. Obviously with a welder, you could piece together multiple pieces if you wanted to do a really big one. In future videos, I'll be cutting out big metal letters and welding it together to show really, really big signs. But you could also use the pass-through for a bigger one. This was crazy. This is 5 millimeter thick, almost a 1/4 inch thick carbon steel. This stuff is heavy. This is like heavy duty. Now, to cut the thick stuff, you are going to need to hook up an oxygen tank. If you're a newbie like me, it was a little daunting, but there's so many different, air gas stores, welding supply stores, and it was really simple. Oxygen is actually a pretty affordable gas, whether you rent the tank or you just buy the tank outright. I just bought the tank, and running oxygen, I was getting such clean cuts and it could cut through. Now, one note with this, the kerf size for cutting is super thin, super thin. But when you're cutting with oxygen, it was thicker, right? So I didn't get as much intricate details, but I was able to cut. I mean, look at that. Look at all that sparks coming through the way you want. This is some thick stuff, right? And so here, this is about a 4-foot long panel. So I have about 2 feet of it in the machine bed using the cameras. Again, there's those camera features on the inside so I can really pinpoint. And I'm cutting out this big template for this really oversized sign. And so again, thinking metal signs, they're outdoor, they're perfectly suited for outdoors. Maybe you're from the laser world or a woodworking world like me, and like, yeah, I can do signs, but how do they hold up to the elements? So this carbon steel is great. Now with carbon steel, you could make it like intentionally rust it. You could do an aging, you could do a patina. We'll explore that in a bit. But look at how this is real time. Real time. Look at how it was just cutting right through these letters, this thick, thick stuff. It did great. And then we'll talk a little bit more, now we're sped up. We'll talk a little bit more about font selection and some design with the software at the end of the video. But here, I was able to take my image that I designed in the software, cut out some holes. I can do some standoffs or some other options. And really simply, I cut half of it, and then I just kind of slid it over through the pass-through, used the camera to line everything up exactly, and I kind of highlighted some features and had them, clicked for output, and then some not. So I cut basically half of it here, and now I'm going to do the slide through. So here I cut the first half of the sign, and now you can take a look. This is what it looks like here. And then I have this pass through. You got the rest of it hanging on out. And I was worried about, how do I get alignment? How do I do? It's got cameras. So I was going to build a fence in there to slide it over. But the cameras, I got everything perfectly aligned. So it can come out that side. It can go either direction. So I pushed it on through where I still had a little bit of that first design that's going to show up in the camera. And then when I come into the software, I get it perfectly lined up, and then I can continue on. So I was kind of worried about alignment. It's not like an automatic pass-through conveyor. You do have to manually push it through, but it was really simple to do that to make a longer sign. So you still are limited to 24 inches wide, but as far as the length, it's unlimited, truly. I mean, however you want to do that. And so it came out so well. I was just so jazzed to see the results. Like in real life, in person, like this thing is thick. It doesn't look as thick, but that 5mm steel is thick. And I've seen several other videos, you saw them cutting much thicker, right? But it was able to handle this no problem. This is a really heavy duty sign. You could do so much with this technique. I did go ahead and do, the full grind on the back, kind of cleaned it up. And then I did some sanding, right? I just used a flat wheel sander, pretty simple and straightforward. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot you could do at this point. You could certainly paint it. Painting, is a great look, but I love the look of the metal. I think that's such a great look. You could let it rust outside. This is actually for a field where my son practices for football. Been doing that for a couple years now. Great little piece. I even now, I want to make it one even bigger. I mean, this is big. This thing cleaned up so nice. It's sharp. It looks amazing. But now I'm having ideas of cutting out, full like 24-inch letters, welding together a big arch. So here it is, just a simple, quick, let's get it up and take a look at it in the rain, during football season. But now I have ideas of making even bigger ones. So here's some ideas just on, coaches stuff. Now, if you're not into sports, there's so many organizations that have clubs where you need to do metals, but you're making custom shapes. It's not your standard circle, your standard star. You make the shape, and then you could engrave it. Of course, you can engrave in the Metal Fab before cutting. I would recommend, if you're going to do a lot of the engraving, is having a secondary laser like the F1. If you want to do the color, it's the F2 Ultra, not the UV, which I just released recently showing that, but lots of possibilities. But the Metal Fab is really what you need to be able to cut this stuff. And yeah, it can cut thick steel, legit carbon steel, great results. so many more possibilities in what you can do. So I want to explore some more options, really return of investment, how it's an expensive machine. Make no mistake, this is an expensive machine, but it is a money maker. Money maker for sure, where you sell these pieces here for a couple $100, maybe even more. A lot more applications. You could cut brass. In some of my earlier videos, I showed the super thin kerf. The things, most of them aren't even falling through because the kerf of the laser is so small. You can do these crazy intricate jewelry pieces. And so, cutting brass, cutting bigger, brass ornaments, doing, necklaces, earrings. This is some thinner brass, but you can go thicker, right? So cool. This was just cut using the compressor. But some more, ideas of what you can do. Another idea is obviously, sure, jewelry, bracelet parts. What about nameplates? So cutting nameplates for awards. Here you can see one I did for baseball, right? So think about plaques and what you could do with that. I think there's so much for awards or nameplates. But here's some other ideas.
Time for some more sales ideas. Like, how are you going to make money with this? Or even if you're not in this for money, if you're just doing it as a hobby, some ideas. I've shared in my other videos several different project ideas. You've seen quite a few here, but here I just want to show you, this is on Etsy. Granted, this is Etsy, and so this is what, some folks are charging, but this is a design I'm really excited about. Doing these panels and then welding together for table bases. And here are some prices that people are charging for these custom projects. Now, obviously, that's on the higher end for orders. I think the ones that are going to be the most easy to get, well, not necessarily this one. The most common orders that you're going to get are going to be those custom signs, but there's so many possibilities here. This is one that I love. I'm really excited about this. This right here, that definitely looks like the size of the 24-inch by 24-inch. Then we can cut the panel. Then we weld it together with stocks. I think materials, maybe $100 tops. So there's a lot of margins to be made there. A little bit of labor, but all of these definite lots of possibilities. So if you go on Etsy, you can see lots of different metal art possibilities of projects you can make. And really a lot of these are definitely possible. Sometimes you'll see what people are charging for just these small little one-offs. You can also see just different files that you can access, especially for these kits, like these table legs or other, like a minimalist end table or something like that. The fire pits, I think, are a great idea. Again, if you're looking for some more ideas, you can check out my other videos. I have a lot. But the signs, the custom signs for folks, I think are going to be great. Like these type of ones, right? Where you do a custom name for someone, for a family cabin or their house or the address. This particular website is called Creative Fabrica. I talk about it in a lot of my videos. It's just a great source for files. You can actually get 10 files for free if you use my link down below. It is like a subscription, so about $4. There's different plans. You get unlimited downloads. So I could download this one and it's just unlimited commercial license. I can sell things. But what's great about these is, again, for the cost of maybe
one file or maybe two, right? I mean, obviously, like these house letters right here, about $2 for one digital file. So the cost of two of them, you get a month of unlimited downloads. So it's a great source, all kinds of possibilities. Also, these fonts are really important when you're doing, the metal cutting. And so having special fonts that work that stencil style, but having more possibilities. So that's great. Knife blanks, lots of files, but also you see a lot of these are plasma files. And the one thing a lot of people, don't take into account with this laser cutter, the fiber laser, the kerf, the amount of material removed is so much thinner. If you check out the Facebook group on the Metal Fab, there's some other testers that have really showed why the kerf is so small and why that's superior to plasma cutters. The level of detail, which you really saw with obviously all of the brass and the jewelry and those smaller pieces. But anyway, lots of ideas here. Check it out. Go to Etsy. You can see all the possibilities, like this file right here. There's these packs. Obviously this is a bigger cost, but look at all of these different designs, lots of different possibilities. And you can actually customize it really easily in the software. I will do a lot more videos on the software coming up, but here's a little bit more on the software.
So this is primarily just to show how simple the software is. Sometimes when I learn new machines, the software is not intuitive. If you are not if you are new to xTool and the Creative Space software, it is insanely intuitive and they're constantly upgrading it in a positive way, not in a confusing way. And so if you're coming from the welding world and want to learn the software, it is very intuitive. And again, they're constantly coming out with cool new features. So I will in the future be showing a lot more tutorials on how to do this stuff, but it's really simple. You just throw in an image. You can convert JPEGs or PNG images to an SVG file, a vector file, and then you have it to cut. Really simple. Really simple. You can use cool fonts like we showed earlier with Creative Fabrica. This is one, Pegro, where I'm going to use that special font because it has the little cutoff there for the A, so I'm not going to lose that center part to make it look really weird. So that's an important consideration as far as fonts when you do customization, which really is where this machine is going to shine. But you have a family name, you're just going to type it, and then just add yourself a little rectangle. And this is how simple it is to make it, you know, a one-piece custom work. Then you just combine, you kind of just line it up, and then you have these two overlapping shapes. And then if you just select them together, you can merge them. And that's simple. You have a new file that's a standoff. You could add a little rectangle there because that dot on the eye isn't going to show up. But it's really simple to customize family names for wall hangers or for addresses. This is great for addresses. Like you can see right here, we have the number, we have the road. We just add, and then we can add little circles there, little points, that 1011, you saw me cut that earlier. But lots of possibilities, and we'll explore more on the software in future videos, but it's really simple.
All right, there you have it, a taste of some of the amazing things you can do with this Metal Fab, especially doing these really big signs. Great money maker, but really if you're thinking about doing like a club, organization, sports team, doing your own awards, start to finish, so many more applications. If you want to learn more about these projects or other similar projects, consider subscribing. I got a lot more projects coming on the Metal Fab, as well as some previous videos digging into some applications. Yes, it is an expensive machine. It is a big machine, and really it is suited for manufacturing. And so really, if you're gonna make an investment in a machine like this, think about all the applications. And so, doing a couple orders like this, you can really batch out, 30, 40 of these bottle openers. You can do, and they're custom, right? They're customized. You could easily do blanks, right? Doing a bunch of award blanks for someone who might have a laser, right? And instead of them buying it wholesale, you just get a sheet. Instead of them buying their blanks, wherever, you're the wholesaler, right? And you can make a bunch of blanks and just get it to them. Or you can customize for big projects. Of course, lots of other applications too. So if you're curious more about the machine, check out this link. It is our affiliate link. If you do end up making a purchase, we do get a small portion of that sale. You can check out the more about that down below. Link there as well. There's built-in coupons, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's an amazing machine. It is an amazing machine with so much more potential, and I can't wait to showcase more. But definitely check it out, learn a little bit more. There is just nothing like it right now. And there might be some, units that are kind of comparable, but especially the CNC capabilities with the laser software, nothing comes close to xTool with their free and easy and intuitive software. So much more on that. And then the R&D they've done on this is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. So definitely check it out. Learn more. What else do you want to see? What else? Obviously we're going to do some welding soon. Some really big projects, especially big benches and other things where those are really, premium price points where you're talking, at least 4 figures per sale. And then some, just depending on all those variables. But what else do you want to see? Drop in the comment, and hopefully we can incorporate it, testing out this new machine and doing all kinds of cool stuff. Well, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Until next time, take care.